Good evening. This is your anchor delivering the most chilling, edge-of-your-seat emergency broadcast on day 16 of the Iran-Israel-United States war, where the world holds its breath asking, is Iran about to unleash full-power annihilation to vanish Israel from the map? As Sunday night darkness falls across blood-soaked battlefields, U.S. intelligence delivers a resounding no to existential Armageddon. Iran's ballistic missile arsenal degraded by 90% under 7,600 airstrikes. Wounded Supreme Leader's fate whispered in bunkers, proxy barrages intercepted by Israel's Iron Dome fortress. But regime rhetoric screams final solution through Al-Quds Day fervor, vowing Hormuz eternal lockdown and Gulf oil infernos if provoked further. The scorching reality unfolds with U.S. Central Command's devastating precision annihilation of Kharg Island, Iran's 90% oil export empire reduced to smoldering military graveyards, while loading berths spared, slashing Tehran's war chest by $100 million daily as Fars News threatens all regional energy ablaze. Parallel horror grips Baghdad, where an Iranian drone craters the U.S. Embassy helipad inside the Green Zone fortress. Black smoke billowing over America's largest diplomatic compound as militias boast penetration, exposing air defense gaps across 7 nations. Tragedy deepens with 6 more U.S. airmen confirmed dead in a KC-135 Stratotanker crash over western Iraq. Not hostile fire, but mechanical doom claiming lives, fueling F-35 swarms, pushing American KIA to 13 amid hundreds wounded from drone shrapnel. Israeli wide-scale thunderbolts hammer western Iran, including Isfahan, where 15 civilians perish in failed evacuations, Iran-Hezbollah missile tsunamis smoke Tel Aviv outskirts, and detonate Negev sands post-Al-Quds rage. Saudi Arabia intercepts 4 drones and 6 missiles over Riyadh, killing 2 civilians. Lebanon tallies 826 dead with entire Qantara families erased, and 5,000 U.S. Marines race toward crisis beachheads. Oil spikes test $105 despite Russian sanction relief igniting Ukraine-Europe fury. 30 verified Iranian drones plague bases from Kuwait to Bahrain, and the million-dollar question lingers. Full power bluff or gathering storm? This YouTube juggernaut unpacks every silo, every shrapnel wound, every oil slick in exhaustive detail. Brace for 3,000 words of unfiltered war. U.S. Central Command unleashes hellfire devastation upon Kharg Island, the 25-square-mile Persian Gulf rock fortress pumping 90% of Iran's 2.5 million barrels daily crude exports to fund its war machine, executing a large-scale precision strike that surgically vaporizes 90 military targets ranging from underground C-802 anti-ship missile silos and S-300 air defense batteries to mine depots threatening Hormuz tanker lanes and IRGC speedboat pens harboring suicide swarms, all while masterfully preserving the island's 225 dedicated oil-loading berths that form the world's largest consolidated export terminal capable of offloading 18 million barrels daily under normal operations. This pre-dawn Saturday onslaught unfolds in 3 meticulously orchestrated waves beginning at 02:30 local time when EA-18G Growler electronic attack jets from the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group conducts suppression of enemy air defenses by blinding Kharg's Russian-supplied radar networks with ALQ-249. Next-generation jammers pulsing at 40 gigahertz frequencies, clearing approach corridors for a second wave at 0400, featuring B-1B Lancer bombers streaking in from Diego Garcia at 600 knots to unleash 96 AGM-158C long-range anti-ship missiles and AGM-158B JASSM-ER stealth cruise missiles that home unerringly on 12 surface-to-air missile launchers, melting their phased array radars into molten slag. 8 coastal defense batteries, splintering reinforced concrete revetments hiding No-Dong and Ghadar launchers, 22 patrol boat slips suddenly emptied of their Shahid Soleimani-class suicide speedboats after 200 IRGC sailors perish in secondary explosions chaining across ammunition magazines, 3 hardened command bunkers collapsed under 30,000-pound GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator bunker busters penetrating 200 feet of earth before detonating, and 45 dispersed weapons storage revetments erupting in synchronized fireballs that light the pre-dawn horizon for 20 miles, as satellite imagery captures the systematic eradication, leaving only the commercial oil infrastructure intact per CENTCOM's explicit operational directive to cripple regime revenue without igniting a global supply catastrophe. Iran's Fars news agency, mouthpiece of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, erupts in apocalyptic threats, declaring any attack on energy infrastructure constitutes war crime, triggering all regional oil and gas facilities to burn, including Saudi Aramco fields, UAE Habshan complexes, Qatari Ras Laffan LNG trains, and Kuwaiti Bergen pumps. But this saber-rattling rings hollow as Kharg's operational paralysis immediately strands 400,000 barrels in very large crude carriers circling helplessly off Bandar Abbas, while global traders recalibrate forward curves with Brent crude, testing $105 per barrel despite the U.S. Treasury's controversial 30-day waiver on Russian oil sanctions designed to flood markets with 70 million barrels of stranded Urals crude from shadow fleet tankers loitering Indian Ocean ports. The economic calculus proves devastating for Tehran. Pre-war Kharg generated $100 million daily revenue funding, 175,000 Basij paramilitary salaries at $300 monthly, Hezbollah rocket stipends flowing through Beirut gold souks, Houthis Red Sea drone campaigns, and covert uranium enrichment cascades buried beneath central Iranian mountains, now facing austerity rationing as the regime confronts 80% cash flow hemorrhage, forcing prioritization of military rebuild over civilian breadlines swelling with 40% inflation since day one. Military implications cascade through Gulf command structures as IRGC Admiral Ali Reza Tangsiri convenes emergency Bandar Abbas War Council livestreamed to Quds force proxies vowing Navy blood demands carrier hunter-killer wolf packs, while satellite reconnaissance confirms 16 surviving Hudong-class fast attack craft dispersing to Keshum Island creeks, and underground Hormuz cave bases pre-positioned for saturation anti-shipping strikes against the U.S. Fifth Fleet's 3 carrier strike groups now steaming at MCON silent running protocols 200 miles east of the strait. Global navies scramble in response, with Britain's HMS Diamond frigate escorting 4 stranded LNG carriers under phalanx sea of U.S. cover toward Fujairah anchorage, where 60 tankers now idle under war risk insurance premiums skyrocketing 500%, forcing charterers to weigh $10 million daily demurrage against 20% probability of fiery demise in minefields seeded by Iranian Kilo-class submarines lurking at 300 feet monitored by U.S. Virginia-class attack boats playing hunter-killer cat-and-mouse at periscope depth. In a wild escalation exposing catastrophic vulnerabilities across America's Middle East footprint, an Iranian-supplied Shahed 136 loitering munition executes a precision strike on the U.S. Embassy helipad inside Baghdad's ultra-fortified Green Zone, the 104-acre sprawling diplomatic citadel housing 16,000 personnel, 618 diplomatic staff, and marine security detachments now scrambling amid thick black smoke columns rising Saturday morning over composite tarmac pads servicing Black Hawk and Chinook rotations for VIP evacuations and rapid reaction force insertions. Associated Press footage captures the fiery detonation, creating a 20-foot-wide crater precisely where MH-60M medevac helicopters staged for Walter Reed transfers and CH-47F Chinook's Ferry Defense Intelligence Agency contractors through Iraq's fractured security landscape, forcing immediate 6-hour flight operation suspension as Marine One equivalent helos divert to Baghdad International Airport's distant apron under heightened force protection, while counter-drone laser systems like DEAM Shored 50-kilowatt beams activate sweeping 360 degrees hunting low observable follow-on threats. The U.S. Embassy renews Level 4 Do Not Travel alert, explicitly citing Iran-aligned Popular Mobilization Forces militias conducting drone rocket attacks against U.S. citizens' interests infrastructure likely to continue, confirming the Shahed's terrain masking ingress from Anbar province safe houses 120 kilometers west, where Kataib Hezbollah fabricates assemblers in underground workshops powered by truck-mounted generators, evading Joint Expeditionary ISR overhead. This marks the first Green Zone helipad penetration since 2020's rocket campaigns that killed U.S. contractor employees, but current war context amplifies threat matrix as NBC News verifies 30 open-source videos documenting Iranian drone strikes across 7 countries, with 21 out of 26 successfully reaching targets, despite Patriot PAC-3 MSE batteries expending 275 interceptors at $4 million per shot since day one, exposing saturation limits where cheap $20,000 Shaheds armed with 50-kilogram high-explosive warheads overwhelm million-dollar kinetic interceptors through sheer numbers launched from mobile truck-bed catapults dispersed across Syria's Badia Desert, Iraq's Sunni Triangle, and Yemen's Marib wastelands. The viral Kuwait Camp Buehring footage circulating Telegram channels captures a drone diving through cloudless skies toward a running track. They're dialing in our building, screams the filmer as black smoke plumes erupt near gym facilities housing 5,000 U.S. soldiers conducting PT under constant siren alerts, while Bahrain's Salman City desalination plants suffer pockmarking crater fields threatening fresh water for 1.5 million citizens, and UAE's Al Dhafra Air Base F-35 hangars collect shrapnel scars from fragments penetrating perimeter fences designed for 1980s-era RPG threats, rather than 2026 drone swarms incorporating GPS, INS hybrid guidance resistant to routine jamming. U.S. Central Command responds by doubling Marine Expeditionary Unit force protection with 31st MEU's 2500 crisis response. Marines now steaming west aboard Tripoli Amphibious Ready Group carrying AH-1Z Viper attack helicopters, AAV-7 amphibious assault vehicles, and HIMARS precision rocket batteries capable of theater-wide counter-battery fire supporting embassy reinforcement, or NEO non-combatant evacuations from Sana'a to Manama as contingency planning accelerates under OPORD Thunder Run, integrating State Department consular affairs with SOCOM's Gray Eagle drone overwatch providing persistent ISR over militia launch signatures detected by RC-135, rivet joint signals intelligence platforms orbiting at 40,000 feet. America mourns 6 irreplaceable airmen confirmed dead when their KC-135 stratotanker, Vapor 41, plummets from 25,000 feet over western Iraq's Anbar Desert during routine combat air refueling orbit, supporting F-35 Lightning II and F-22 Raptor strike packages hammering Tehran's military-industrial complex, marking the single deadliest non-hostile incident of this 16-day conflagration, and elevating total U.S. fatalities to 13 KIA comprising 7 combat losses from drone shrapnel and missile fragments across Gulf basing and 6 non-combat tragedies, underscoring campaign sustainment strains as crews endure 12-hour sorties in aging 1960s airframes averaging 55 years old, with airframe fatigue cracking documented in recent Air Force safety stand-downs. U.S. Central Command's terse X statement confirms the loss was not due to hostile fire or friendly fire, with full NTSB equivalent investigation launching as recovery teams combed 2-mile debris fields strewn across scorched sands, collecting flight data recorders, cockpit voice tapes capturing final stall warnings and altimeter cascade failures, and fragmented remains requiring DNA identification kits forwarded through next-of-kin notification protocols, withholding identities for 24 hours to allow families in California bases like Travis AFB, Midwest Heartland Squadrons at McConnell, and East Coast operations at Fairchild to receive chaplain notifications before dress blue funerals commence at Dover ramps, where folded flags pass to spouses clutching children's hands amid base school lockdowns and squadron teddy bear memorials. The KC-135 mission profile proves brutally demanding. Each Stratotanker pumps 120,000 pounds of JP-8 fuel across 4 aerial refueling points per 12-hour combat air patrol, keeping 18 4th and 5th generation fighters on station 500 miles from targets through boom operator precision transfers at 250 knots ground speed under constant tactical deconfliction with surface-to-air missile threats penetrating from western Iranian launch sites. But today's orbit from Qatar's Al Udeid mothership encounters catastrophic instrument failure mid-F-35 offload when primary altimeters freeze, followed by stall horns screaming as wings level into unrecoverable descent. Cratering desert floor in 90 seconds, witnessed by MH-60 Black Hawk chase pilots radioing mayday positions for pararescue teams, now sifting wreckage for black boxes revealing probable pitot-static system icing or electrical bus cascade consistent with high-altitude mission profiles operating at -50 Celsius boom pods.